Welcome to the NewsWest 9 Rewind. I'm your host, Marcus Risen. Well, it's been a busy week in the Permian Basin, from the first Amber Alert in Midland in almost a year to a popular park being closed down for an investigation. Let's rewind the past 7 days on NewsWest 9 with the top 5 stories of the week. Coming in at number 5, if you've had a hot dog in Midland, you might know of Brad Logan, aka the Hot Dog Man. He's been selling hot dogs for 14 years, but last Saturday, he sold his last one. Hunter Alcacer talked to the man himself.
A beloved hot dog vendor in Midland, Brad Logan, aka the Hot Dog Man, retired today. Before he did, though, he made sure to show up to his usual spot on the corner of Neely Avenue and Midland Drive to serve out hot dogs to the community one last time. All this hot dog vending started with a trip to Chicago.
Well, we went up to Chicago and saw him doing it, and thought, that'd be a good thing to do in Midland. Back in Midland wasn't as receptive to mobile vendors 14 years ago, but they've kind of come around since then and allowed us to really make a mark.
Though the community is sad to see him retire, Logan is just as thankful to the community as they are to him.
Well, it's been a long 14 years. I appreciate all the customers and all the support we've had over the years. Mobile vending in Midland has kind of taken off, and I'm just glad to be part of it. And it's my time to finish out.
As to how he'd like the legacy of the Hot Dog Man to be remembered,
good service, good product. It's a good service, good product, fair price. That's the only thing you can ask for.
Man, those hot dogs looked really good. I really should have got one before Mr. Logan retired. Anyway, all of us at NewsWest 9 wish the Hot Dog Man a happy retirement. Now, coming in at number 4, 2 Midland veterans recently passed away, but unfortunately had no next of kin, causing them to need burial funds to be honored properly. On Wednesday, Tyler Dupnick did a story about them, bringing attention to the unintended veterans.
What's the hardest is to raise the funds to get these veterans honored.
This is David McGivney, a veteran who served from 1970 to 1974 and earned multiple medals while in the Air Force. And this is George Thomas, a veteran who served from 1984 to 1990 and earned multiple awards for his marksmanship while in the Marine Corps. Both veterans have honorable discharges, meaning they had good standing and no misconduct during their careers, which qualifies them for their final resting place to be at a national cemetery that is completely military.
For their service and sacrifice, we want to get them honored properly with the military honors and placed over in the National Cemetery in Abilene. So it's best that, they are properly reunited with their other comrades over in a national cemetery for their service, because not every veteran actually qualifies to go to a national cemetery.
Both Janie Whitefield and Leanne Thornton are veterans themselves who are veteran advocates in the Permian Basin, so they sympathize with these situations.
I couldn't imagine, being in their shoes. I hope that if that was ever the case, that I'd have an individual similar to us, right, that advocates for me, because nobody wants to be alone, and for their service and sacrifice, they deserve to be over there. They deserve to be honored and to given that respect. So.
American Heritage in Midland is the cemetery and funeral home partner, and they are proud to help provide their services.
We try to partner with people in the community that are just as passionate as we are to provide good, dignified services for those that have nobody, especially our veteran community. And so it's all just out of the good hearts of the community to help pay for the minimum costs to cover, to provide a dignified send-off to a veteran.
The total cost that was needed to be raised for those veterans was $3,500, and that would cover the cremations and remembrances at the National Cemetery in Abilene. After NewsWest 9 gave the community ways to donate to the cause, what happened next was heartwarming.
Both of these veterans actually do have family. George Thomas was adopted at birth, and his biological mother and half-sister both did not meet him until just before his 28th birthday. Following on and off contact with him throughout the years, they both did not find out about his passing until they saw our story. David McGivney has a 21-year-old granddaughter who had been trying to raise the funds to give him the proper send-off, but she was struggling under that financial burden. She also saw our story, and that financial burden is now no longer a problem, as the Permian Basin community just donated just under $15,000 of the $3,500 needed.
It's so overwhelming. I mean,
I'm so emotional just to think about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Janie Whitefield and David Cole were two impactful people in getting these two local veterans the final send-off they deserve. George Thomas served from 1984 to 1990 and earned multiple awards for his marksmanship while in the Marine Corps, and David McGivney served from 1970 to 1974 and earned multiple medals while in the Air Force. Both were at risk of being left in an unmarked grave, but the Permian Basin community stepped up to make sure that would not be the case.
It's overwhelming. Just the amount of outpouring, the love, the spoken words that came over the phone, the amount of people that were passionate about helping, about making sure that people were taken care of. It's truly been amazing.
It's moments like these that make the effort worth it.
And this is why I do what I do, is to support these veterans and kind of be a voice for them. And this whole thing was, like I said, divine intervention.
Absolutely.
Of this all coming together. So we're just very appreciative and thankful for all the generosity that the community's given.
And it's that generosity that brought McGivney's granddaughter to tears.
I let her know about the funds that were available, and she has been struggling, has been trying to raise that money in different ways and things like that. And telling her over the phone, it's been covered, it's been more than covered. I mean, there were tears immediately.
A truly special conclusion to a story formed deep in the heart of West Texas.
Thank you to the public. You know,
Yes.
it could not have been possible.
100%.
I mean, we just do the behind the scenes work, and I'm telling you, like, this is one of those storybook endings. Makes you love what you do.
Yes.
Kind of stories, and it's definitely worth it.
Just an amazing story. Now, both families are incredibly grateful for the support that will send these veterans to their final resting place with the military honors that they earned. American Heritage Cemetery and Funeral Home will take care of the cremation services with the money donated, and the Military Veteran Peer Network will get these veterans over to the National Cemetery in Abilene. One person actually donated $7,000 by themselves, and the extra money will be used in other cases like these. On behalf of NewsWest 9, we want to thank our viewers and everyone who donated money and contributed to making this a reality.
Wow, one of the best feelings of this job is feeling like you're able to make a difference. And Tyler sure did that with this story. Now, coming in at number 3, Amber Alerts. You've seen them. But when was the last time you saw one in Midland, Texas? Well, on Tuesday night, everyone got an Amber Alert from the tall city when 29-year-old Zach Smith took his common-law wife's 11-month-old daughter without her consent. Smith had physically assaulted the woman beforehand and took the child along with their 3 other children with him. Thankfully, that girl was found. After the alert, people were wondering, what constitutes an Amber Alert? Jason Freund dove into that story.
Amber Alerts have been in effect since the late 90s, and they've helped law enforcement around the country in missing persons cases.
The purpose of Amber Alert is to provide information to the general public from law enforcement to aid in locating either the child, the suspect, or the vehicle in the case of that crime or investigation.
However, an Amber Alert can't be applied to everyone. Sergeant Steve Blanco of the Texas Department of Public Safety explains the age limit law enforcement look when deciding whether to push out an alert.
An Amber Alert applies to those 17 years of age and younger. So 18, 19, 20-year-olds, an Amber Alert does not apply to. So it has to be a child 17 years of age or younger in order to meet the criteria for an Amber Alert.
The next question that is asked is simple. Is the child in any physical danger or harm?
There has to be credible evidence that the child is in bodily danger, is in immediate harm, or there's a threat of death or serious bodily injury to that child. That's an investigation that's done by law enforcement.
If the situation meets all the proper criteria, the Amber Alert is sent out by the police to phones and televisions in the area, and the public now know what they need to be on the lookout for to help solve a crime.
And anytime an Amber Alert is put out, we ask the public to take those alerts very seriously. I know at times people sometimes disable those alerts on their cell phones when they come in or don't pay attention to them on television. And we ask the public to always pay attention to that information that's provided by law enforcement or other government agencies, especially when we need the public's help. And the public does help many times in solving crimes.
Thankfully, the girl was found relatively quickly thanks to the alert. Fun fact, according to the DPS's website, there's only been 3 Amber Alerts from Midland since August of 2017, all ending with a child being found. Now coming in at number 2, after human remains were found on December 30th, last Saturday investigators ended up finding even more remains just a few blocks away from the last location. Rachel Robinson talked to a resident who lived merely yards away from the area.
A skull was found by a mailbox near the 1700 block of East Texas Street in Midland at the end of December. On Saturday morning, more remains found about a block away on Illinois in Tilden.
Only thing I can think of is while we're sleeping, they're throwing bodies everywhere. It's scary. You don't never know what else is in this field, and it's just scary.
The recent discovery blocks near a school and community center, and undoubtedly upsetting to people that live in the neighborhood, some opting not to stay in their homes.
That's scary. My 4 children, we didn't want to stay here. It's too close to home.
Goodman says she saw the remains being removed from this portion in the fence.
It was in a white bag. My son like, Mama, you can see that in my window. And they said they were going to close it, but it's still like that.
Goodman also says the area is normally patrolled, but she wants more security.
I don't think it's enough. We need some cameras. We need something around here. It's just scary because somebody knows something, and I just feel somebody needs to speak up.
Definitely a scary situation there, and the remains will be taken to the Dallas County Medical Examiner's office for further processing to try to identify the dead individual. We'll keep you updated once we receive that information. Finally, we're at our top story of the week, and if you remember, on December 17th, there was a shooting at the Ranch Apartments, leaving 2 victims dead. Suspects were arrested shortly after. On Tuesday, MPD closed the Wadley Barron Park and started investigating the lake specifically, looking for evidence related to the double homicide. Rachel Robinson covered the story.
The dive team investigations at Wadley Barron Park these past couple of days have had to do with a double homicide investigation that happened last month that ended in the arrest of Sean Douglas Love and Jamar Joseph Jackson Jr.
That investigation has led us to the duck pond on evidence recovery. So part of that evidence recovery meant that we needed assistance on it, so we reached out through the Texas Rangers to the Texas Department of Public Safety dive recovery team.
The investigation is timely and tedious, so the park is closed indefinitely.
It's murky, and so it's a very slow, hands-on process. So they've been out here yesterday, today. We'll be out here again tomorrow, and it's definitely going to go into next week as well.
During their search, the dive team came upon a weapon unrelated to this case.
Know that when they did recover that, it appeared from at least initial glance to be having been in the water for a very long time. Obviously, that will be looked at and investigated a little deeper to see where that goes. But as of now, we don't have anything that would believe us to think they're related.
MPD also wants to assure everyone is safe despite rumors online.
There's been some traffic through social media regarding serial killers and things like that. That's absolutely untrue. There's nothing to those. This is related to a known investigation that we've already relayed information to you about in the past.
Now, this gun was not associated with an investigation, and we don't know how long it's been in that pond. After finding the gun, the park was closed indefinitely. Thank you for joining us for the Rewind. We'll see you next week, where we'll bring you even more of the top stories from the Permian Basin. With the NewsWest 9 Rewind, I'm Marcus Risen.